I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories. The Bank of Ghana has announced an amendment to the guidelines on importation and exportation of foreign currency from the country. The central bank, in a notice, maintained that the directive is passed.
Hi, great people of Ghana, it's your Nigerian God pleasure bringing you political news in our channel, Ghanatube. Let's dive into the things happening in Ghana. As you already know, that this girl here, Pleasure, is always there to bring you all the news your way, and our channel is actually committed to bringing you all the news your way. Please, sir.
Of the regulators' anti-money laundering measures. More in this report.
The Bank of Ghana in the notice maintained that travelers are allowed to carry up to $10,000 or equivalent in any other foreign currency and money instrument. However, the Bank of Ghana was quick to add that travelers carrying amount above $10,000 must declare such funds in full using the official foreign currency declaration form from the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, indicating the source and purpose of the funds. For inbound travelers, the Bank of Ghana maintained that amount about $10,000 must also present proof of declaration of such funds from their port of origin or departure. The regulator warned that failure to comply could result in criminal prosecution and seizure of the amount. In a separate notice, the Bank of Ghana has reminded the public that pricing and advertising in the country are supposed to be done only in Ghana cedi.
Let's get on to Zoom and speak to a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, on the back of this. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on Business Live. And even before we get into the discussion, I want your take on this directive from the Bank of Ghana, first off.
Very much. It is part of the regular public education and directive that the central bank periodically comes out with to educate the public and also to inform the public about some policy directive that the central bank is considering. But one must be quick to add that we've had similar directives in the past. Just 2-3 years ago, we're having similar directive from the central bank. And of course, way back in about 2014, we also had similar directive from the central bank. Why haven't we had these policies being sustained and being enforced by the central bank? It appears that when we get some form of stability, then the central bank tends to relax some of these enforcement. But if only the central bank will be committed and will push through and will hold dear to some of these enforcement, I believe it will go a long way. This issue of we'll wait till we have what appears to be a challenge is not the right way to go. We must see a constant enforcement of some of these directives.
Even before we talk about the enforcement, how the central bank should go about it, let's talk about the currency importation bid and, of course, exportation the Bank of Ghana is talking about. Do you think the Bank of Ghana is not being too hard?
It's just doing what it has to do. You know, as a central bank, one of your objective is the stability of your local currency in terms of its value. And so if the hard currency dollar is becoming a challenge for the central bank, but of course the dollar is not our local currency or national currency, then in this case it is right that the central bank will have to come out with such policies to make it difficult to transact and to use dollars, especially in domestic transactions. We should be aware that there may be some exemptions for some corporate bodies, some exporters, and some entities because of the special nature of business that they do. That is permissible. But for the generality of the public, no. We should transact and we should do our business with the Ghana cedis. Again, to push the argument, maybe the central bank will have to reconsider this issue of the forex bureaus that we have in the country. We have had forex bureaus for about 40 years now. I believe it's time that the central bank will have to sit back and review the operations of the forex bureau. This is a small economy, but in the economy we have three types of rates. We have the interbank rate, so we have the Bank of Ghana rate that Bank of Ghana gives to the banks. We have the interbank forex rate, and then we have the forex bureau rate. These are three layers. What we need to understand is that the lower you go down the tier in terms of the relationship, the more difficult it becomes for you to monitor the businesses that takes place. What am I talking about? Between the banks, which is an official source to have forex, and the forex bureaus, is such a deep valley that so many things can happen. And if you look at the number of forex bureaus that has been licensed, if you go through the data, realize that over 80 to 90% of them are located in Accra. It tells you something. It means that many of the forex bureaus are not even out of Accra. Why should we have a lot of forex bureaus now? And what purpose are they, providing to us? When we have banks all over in Accra, we have savings and loans, we have microfinance institutions. Why would BOG consider a situation where what the forex bureaus are providing in terms of forex can be passed on to savings and loans and microfinance, where monitoring can be better than the forex bureau? If you are traveling or you are coming to the country, at the point of entry or exit, the ports, the land borders, you should be able to effect your forex transaction. But it shouldn't be just like what we have in the system. If you have any forex need, go to your bank and then talk to your bank, then the bank can look at it. Maybe it is time the central bank will have to look at the existence of the forex bureaus that we have and then try to restructure the operations and then have a second look at their existence in their quest to deal with the usage of the dollar and the easy access to US dollars.
Let's talk about the enforcement of this very directive. How easy or difficult do you think it will be for the central bank?
It will be difficult. It will be difficult because until the central bank gets the hint of it, he will not know, right? He will not know. So it becomes a bit difficult because, again, what happens between the banks and the forex bureau is such a deep valley that so many things can happen from the banks to the forex bureau. Not deliberate, but then there may be some loopholes that can be exploited. Now, if I am buying or I'm selling in dollars and you don't get a hint of it at central bank, how will you change? How will you follow me? How will you deal with that particular act? So the central bank is coming out, which is good, but then they will have to look at it and then make sure that the system that they put in place can pick on the needed, flashpoint and to deal with the issue. What I was expecting that if the policy starts from 1st of September, we actually have about 4 days to go. Look, this guideline that is out, how many individuals can have access to? I was expecting that the central bank through the commercial banks will force the commercial banks to send minimum text messages to their customers that this and this and this will be happening from so and so time. So we should be aware. How many of us will be aware if we don't have access? So the central bank will also have to look at how some of these information can trickle down to the very details of individuals that we have in the society. If not, the banks will just paste this in their branches.
All right.
And how many customers will go to the branches and read some of these policies?
As
we need to rethink the approach.
All right. Let's make progress with this. So, Dr. Amoah, I've heard some market players argue that, well, it looks like the Bank of Ghana itself is panicking with this very decision. I don't know where you stand on that.
No, the central bank is not panicking.
All right.
If you have observed the policies for some time, the central bank has been very clear and constantly be involved in informing the public that, hey, the dollar is not our national currency, it is a Ghana cedis. So it is one of the many strategies that the central bank is using to make the dollar unattractive for domestic consumptions or domestic purchases. What I will say is that the central bank is not panicking at all. It is just one of the normal policies that the central bank is trying to enforce.
Senior Finance Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah, thank you so much for joining us here on Business Life.
Please do have to like, comment, and follow. Put on notification bell so you get all our news one by one. Thanks, man.